Plumbing for all your emergency plumbing services.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Your Fastcast is going to be me for the rest of the week because of the First Alert Weather Day coming up. We have several days. In fact, we could probably add Monday just due to the temperature drop. There's still a lot of uncertainty on the timing of the rain and snow moving in and sleet and freezing rain, the type, how long it's going to last. Are we going to warm up enough on Sunday? There are signs of that happening, but that's well after we've already potentially seen 1 inch to 1.5 inches of ice accretion. That's the accumulation of the ice on trees and power lines, and anything above 1/2 inch causes big problems. So very concerned down the road with power outages, falling trees, and then the cold to follow. Let's take a look at what we've got now. Pretty nice day. It's been chilly. We just finally reached the high about 42 degrees after struggling most of the day today, and we'll continue to struggle overnight. It's going to cool down quickly. We'll be back down probably around 28 degrees for the morning low, if not just slightly cooler. Now tomorrow, we get a south wind that comes back. We get more clouds, and it's going to rain. I think by 11 a.m. it develops in the shoals and tracks east. This is all going to be rain. Here's 7 a.m. We're going to cover this first, and then we'll get into the developing winter storm because I don't want to get past Wednesday because some of you need to know it's going to rain tomorrow, especially by the late morning and early afternoon hours if you got outdoor plans. Temperatures do warm into the 50s, and some of you may be wondering, well, how do we go from the 50s to the freezing temperature, freezing rain? It's because there's a big Arctic air mass to the north that's going to be dropping south as we get Friday night into Saturday morning. But all Wednesday, this is going to be a cool rain. As the rain starts falling, temperatures actually drop more into the mid 40s. Looks a little bit better than yesterday when the temperatures were looking like they were going to be upper 30s and low 40s. Here's our developing winter storm. And I'm keeping with the trend of showing you the European model because I think it's far superior to the rest of the models. However, it still shows a dangerous situation developing. I think the morning hours, and I'm going to go through this with 3 other graphics here in just a second, and I've already posted those on social media. But the morning hours, we are looking very early in the morning. So if you got Friday plans, I try to wrap things up by the late evening, and we're going to know a lot more on this by tomorrow. The high resolution models will all come into play. They run every 3 hours, and we'll get a better hint as to Mother Nature's cards because she sure isn't showing them yet. But as we take a look at the European model, this is going to be just after midnight, snow developing in the shoals, 23 degrees, 25 in Huntsville. So whatever starts falling immediately will stick. So we're going to start to get accumulation before sunrise Saturday morning. And in these areas, we may already have 2 to 4 inches of snow on the ground. The other thing to keep in mind is in this zone here where you have pink, that's representative of the freezing rain, and probably about 10, 15 miles south of that is probably a mix of sleet and snow as well. But this model is just breaking out where we have the snow, the freezing rain, and the green, which we show you most of the time. That's just the rain. So watch what happens here. We're right on the edge here, and that's where the heaviest precipitation, no matter what it is, that's where the heaviest precip will fall. We've got a ton of moisture coming straight off the Gulf, and we've got this low-level jet that's just bringing in. So if we didn't have winter in play at all, we would easily be looking at 2 to 2.5 inches of rain. So that's why it's so concerning when the temperatures are in the 20s. Notice by 6 o'clock Saturday, notice this nose. We've got this warmer air that's coming up around 4,000 or 5,000 feet in the air. And what that does is we get snow that's falling. Snow falls through that and it melts, and it falls as freezing rain. There's a lot of people call freezing rain is sleet, but sleet is an ice ball, kind of like Dippin' Dots, and sleet accumulates. We may see 1/4 inch of sleet or more, and remember, sleet 2 years ago is what caused all the issues. We were expecting snow, and it all fell as sleet. So I do think we'll see quite a bit of sleet in this zone as well, and just south of that, the freezing rain. And what freezing rain is, it's the rain because the snowflakes are all melting. It falls and instantly sticks to porches. Your deck is probably going to be the first thing to freeze over. That's going to be a hazard in your immediate surroundings. Then we're going to see trees get coated with ice. And if we get over 1/2 inch of ice and winds gust over 15 miles an hour, we're going to start hearing limbs break. So this is something, again, we don't want to get into reinforcing this right now. It's still just too early. But if this becomes a significant ice storm, there are going to be trees falling and tree limbs falling. You're going to hear them all all over the place. So again, we're watching out for that. But highly likely we're going to have significant problems, especially in the shoals by 6 o'clock Saturday night. Roads will be impassable, most likely, because you just can't have rain and temperatures at 22 degrees and not have problems. And up the road here in Paducah, it's 13, 15 in Nashville. So this is reinforcing the cold air, and that's the other side of all this. We're probably going to wake up around 8 degrees Monday morning. So let's continue on here. Again, that's Saturday evening. So we're after sunset. We're likely looking at power outages in some areas if the model verifies. Notice this area here. We talked about this yesterday. The models are showing this, but also notice the time. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. This is where that warm part of that low-level jet is trying to bring temperatures just above freezing. We're talking 34, 35 degrees, and that noses into northeast Alabama. However, we've had several hours of freezing rain and sleet, so it's not instantly going to melt. So just think of it on a summer day, you can actually empty a cooler and throw the ice out on the concrete, and it still takes a while for all of that to melt. So this isn't going to be a quick recovery here. In fact, this may add even more issues, adding more water to the road on top of the slush. So it may turn it to slush, and then immediately behind all this, after a few hours of slightly above normal temperature, above freezing temperatures, you see Huntsville 34, 34 in Chattanooga, the temperatures drop quickly into the teens overnight, Sunday into Monday. So this is a trend we'll watch. The earlier this moves in, the better. But we're still kind of locked in here on the western side. And if you remember back to 1996, that was the last really big ice storm. It caused all sorts of issues, especially out in the shoals. Most likely, I wasn't here then. I just got here like several months after that. But what's happening is you got the northeast part of the state seeing that warm nose, and the cold air is back here. It's kind of locked in. So the most likely areas for about a 10-inch snowfall are going to be from the shoals up towards Ardmore because of that reason. You see on the back edge here, this is as we get into Sunday night, look, we're down to 17 degrees. So there's a very narrow window that we warm up above freezing, but it's not going to melt everything. And then we go right back into the teens. So very dangerous situation here, especially if you lose power and the temperatures are in the teens. So here's one of the first graphics. I'm going to show you 3 time frame graphics here. This is what I put together. I didn't want to just keep showing model data. I wanted to show everyone what I think is actually going to take place. This is midnight, roughly Saturday night, Friday night into the afternoon hours on Saturday. There's going to be an area here in white that may get 3 to 6 inches of snow, most likely along the Tennessee River and north to the state line. You get just to the north, up along Highway 64, about 5 to 9 inches of snow. And then you get areas down here to the south, a combination of sleet and snow. May get an inch of sleet snow mix in these areas. And then the area farther to the south, that's the area of freezing rain down there. You see all the way down to Birmingham. So I'm going to show you this next graphic. This goes forward Saturday 5 p.m. to Sunday 5 a.m. Notice the freezing rain starts to lift to the north. So we're talking significant ice, numerous power outages possible. The extreme southern edge of this by Sunday 5 a.m. could start to see just rain. So that would be good news down there in southern Coleman County and perhaps southern Marshall County, but it's yet to be seen. And once again, the high resolution model guidance will come into play beginning tomorrow, and as I mentioned earlier, it runs every 3 hours. So we're looking at an additional 2 to 3 inches of snow or sleet in orange up to the state line. Keep in mind this could nose farther north, and that increases the threat for freezing rain everywhere as well. Notice how we stay locked in here near Waterloo, Iuka up to Lawrenceburg with an additional 3 to 6 inches. And if you're doing the math, that's about a foot of snow in some of these areas, and some of the model guidance is going 20 inches total for Lawrenceburg. So again, we're right on the edge of that, and that's what makes it really difficult. So as we go beyond this, so 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., we have that nose that may warm it up a little bit into the rain, but this is a majority of the day. We're going to see an additional 1, maybe 3 inches of snow on the backside, depending on how much moisture is left with the storm system. And most of that should shut off around 1 o'clock. So we could see significant ice and numerous power outages. They may be likely at that point in time, especially in areas of northeast Alabama. And just because I'm focusing here more, we could see that anywhere. So that's the thing we still have to figure out, and that's why we urge you to keep checking back for updates. And this is what I mean. This is the ice potential. We talk a lot about snow, but 1 inch of ice with a wind gust of 20 miles an hour, that could be devastating for a large area. You see Fort Payne, 2 inches. This is the latest European model guidance. So again, these are big concerns here we have. Keep checking back for updates. So, and on top of that, this is the European model. Look, it's got 16 inches for Waynesboro, just north of there, about 20 inches, and we've got 1 inch. So this doesn't take into account the sleet out there too. So some of you may be going, oh man, only 1 inch. I really want to urge you, don't be thinking about snow and be thinking about the concern we have for ice, especially as we get on into the late night hours here Saturday into Sunday morning. So here's your 10-day forecast: 52 tomorrow, 50 Thursday, and then here comes the Arctic plunge. 8 Monday morning. If we have a heavy snowpack and a lot of ice, we could actually get closer to 0 for the overnight low. The GFS model actually had 15 degrees below 0 for Tuesday morning. So I don't think it's going to be that cold. That's close to all-time record cold, but something you really need to be aware of. So again, we'll continue to monitor this. I'll have your next forecast coming up at 4, 5, 6, and 10 on WFF 48 News.